Okay, let's unpack this. We hear so much about finding product market fit. For early startups, it feels like the holy grail, right? That signal you've actually got something real. But once you've hit that milestone, what happens then? What does it really take to move beyond that initial spark, build something that, truly endures, something sustainable for the long haul? That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, it's a fascinating transformation, actually. The whole goal, it just fundamentally shifts. It goes from discovery to, well, durability.
Right.
We're talking about scaling that initial success, sustaining growth, expanding maybe into new markets or even whole new product lines. Our mission for you today is basically to pull out the essential nuggets of wisdom from a whole bunch of sources, give you a kind of shortcut to getting smart on this really crucial phase.
Okay, so let's start with the person steering the ship then, the founder.
Hmm.
That journey from being, the scrappy entrepreneur deep in the weeds on every product detail
Mhm.
to becoming a more seasoned executive overseeing this rapidly growing thing, that's a huge personal shift. What does that transition really demand?
Well, the key insight here, I think, is that for a CEO who's scaling, your product fundamentally changes. It's not the software or the service anymore, it's the organization itself. Our sources point to David Cancel, CPO at Linktree. He talks about the CEO's role becoming like an editor, someone who's noticing something, surfacing it, and pushing people, trying to hold the team to a higher standard. It gets less about direct product stuff and way more about enabling others, focusing on, strategic capital allocation, fiduciary responsibility.
That's a really critical shift. And yeah, it's definitely not always easy. We've seen it, right? The skills you needed to launch successfully,
Hmm.
they aren't necessarily the same ones you need to lead through that kind of hypergrowth. Founders sometimes find it tough to let go, to let their role change as the company scales. What's like the biggest mistake you see founders make there? Or maybe resist?
A really common pitfall is hiring for right now, instead of thinking about the future. If you step back, look at the bigger picture. It implies this deep need to plan strategically for leadership. Jiana Zhang, she recommends founders should plan for what sort of leader you'll need 2 years out.
Hmm.
It's so important to bring in someone who has, seen that scale and actually knows how to operate within it. It becomes about empowering teams to handle the how, while the CEO stays focused on the what, the vision, the resources. It's really about getting leaders who manage complexity and empower people, not micromanage.
Right. So once the founder's role evolves and they're really leading that charge,
Mm.
what about the company itself? Because getting that initial product market fit, that's just the beginning. The big challenge then often becomes, okay, where do we go next? How do you balance the success you have now with, future growth? How do you decide on that next big move?
Yeah, exactly. And this is where a multi-product strategy often comes in. It frequently lines up with something called the Three Horizons framework.
Hmm.
You can kind of think of it as sorting your efforts. Horizon 1, that's your core business, the thing making money now. Horizon 2 is about those emerging growth areas. And Horizon 3, that's for the really speculative long-term bets. Jeff Lawson at Twilio, he puts it really well. He says, we don't think about things as the next big bet because I think that you need to have 5 or 10 or 20 bets. His advice is to treat those early ideas like learning exercises, not yet a business exercise measured in dollars and cents. The key thing is you start investing in Horizon 2, maybe even dabbling in Horizon 3, while your main Horizon 1 product is still growing strong. Don't wait for it to plateau.
That whole idea, looking beyond right now, the multi-product thing, it really makes me think of that great story about Larry Ellison at Oracle. That's in our sources too. He made this move that, well, at the time must have seemed almost backwards, right? Choosing to invest big in building an applications division, while Oracle's database business was still absolutely booming, like many more years of steady growth and healthy margins ahead. And his own applications, they didn't even really take off until the 90s. But he took that calculated risk. He used the company's momentum to proactively shape its future. That's powerful.
Absolutely. Remarkable foresight. And this kind of strategic, forward-thinking approach, it applies to long-term planning generally. Take Monetate, for instance. They shifted away from just rigid annual plans. They started using 3-year plans, even trailing 12-month plans, and that led to smoother, more consistent growth. It's a mindset shift, right? It lets you continuously invest in growth in hiring all year round. You're constantly asking, okay, do our plans for next quarter still make sense based on what we know now, what we've learned? It's like a recursive strategy. You work backward from this big long-term goal and identify those key moments, those inflection points that keep pushing the company forward.
Okay, but growth, of course, it brings its own set of headaches. As you expand, as you scale, new vulnerabilities pop up.
Yeah.
How do you actually, fortify your business foundations, harden things against potential weaknesses? What's it mean to eliminate single points of failure in this context?
Well, it's all about building in resilience, anti-fragility even, right from day one, not as some afterthought. Think about the advice on data centers we found. 3 is the magic number. 1, not enough. Something will go wrong eventually, internet outage, power failure, whatever. But 2 creates this unique kind of dangerous vulnerability, a split brain scenario. Imagine like the two halves of your system lose contact. Each one thinks it's the boss. That can lead to duplicated efforts, maybe processing the same payment twice, or worse, losing critical data. So setting up operations across 3 data centers right from the start, that's a fundamental way to build in stability, prevent that single point of failure that could just cripple you.
Got it. So basically, don't put all your eggs in one virtual basket,
Yeah.
especially if that basket's hosted by, say, a single cloud provider. But how do you apply that kind of rigorous, forward-thinking planning beyond just the tech infrastructure to other critical parts of the business?
That's a great question. Look at Loyal, for example. They proactively retooled to build around the expectation of the unexpected. How? By developing really comprehensive contingency plans. This means asking those tough what-if questions. Okay, what do we absolutely still need to spend if our market launch gets delayed 6 months? What if it's 12 months late? What do we cut? When do we cut it? This kind of rigorous scenario planning, it isn't just about survival, it's crucial for keeping momentum, ensuring that long-term viability. You're removing those critical single points of failure, whether it's like one huge customer, a single supplier, maybe even one indispensable team member.
Right. And ultimately, for a business to truly thrive, truly endure, it needs that rock-solid foundation.
Yeah.
Which brings us, I think, to the business model itself. This isn't just about the product or the market anymore, is it? It becomes this critical kind of living component for genuine sustainability.
Yeah, and what's really powerful here is the emphasis on de-risking your business model by figuring out pricing before you even build the product. Madhavan Ramanujam, they call him the price whisperer, he suggests taking a leaf out of Porsche's book. Remember the Cayenne SUV? Porsche rigorously tested customer willingness to pay for every single feature, like extra large cup holders versus a racing transmission. And anything customers weren't willing to actually pay extra for, they ditched it. This stops companies going down that long, costly journey of hoping they'll make money rather than knowing they will. That's absolutely core to building something sustainable from the start.
So, especially for consumer companies, it's about finding that sweet spot, right, where business value and community value meet, really understanding why users would pay. It can't be an afterthought.
Exactly. You want to, as one source put it, put your business model at the center of your user experience, not at the periphery. Strava is a good example. They figured out their superpowers, things like authenticity, their activity data. Then they explored how to combine those to deliver a better user experience while driving revenue. Figma did something similar, adapting their pricing. They gated features that you need for a design team versus what you need as an individual designer. It shows how pricing needs to adapt, evolve with the product and the business. It should be layered, customized. The core idea, though, is that the product needs to get better faster than the users you acquire get worse. That ensures ongoing value, sustainable revenue.
Wow, okay. We've definitely unpacked quite a bit today, haven't we? From, the founder's necessary personal evolution to strategic expansion, fortifying against risks, and really weaving your business model into the fabric of the company for the long haul.
Yeah.
It seems pretty clear that the journey beyond product market fit is just constant adaptation, foresight, and disciplined execution.
Yeah, stepping back, I think what this all really highlights is a powerful truth about building something truly sustainable. It's not just about the wins. It's maybe even more about the willingness to constantly evaluate, adapt, and critically even let go of what isn't working.
Which I suppose raises an important question for you, the listener, to consider. In your own pursuits, whether that's business or life, how effectively are you actually applying the skill of quitting? Because, as Annie Duke, the special partner for decision science, puts it so well, success comes from sticking to the stuff that's working and quitting the rest. It's a skill worth mastering, I think, for any kind of growth, and maybe the hardest one to truly embrace.